what Ohio State must do to win the Big Ten championship in 2024.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
One thing Ohio State must focus on in 2024 is getting back on top of the Big Ten Conference, and we're here today to discuss how they accomplished that goal. Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to a Thursday edition of Locked On Buckeyes here on Thursday, January 18th in the year 2024. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast, and today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 and bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. It's never fun ending a season when you don't accomplish the goals that you have set out to accomplish in that year. I don't set the goals of Ohio State's football team. They do. The players and the coaches set the standard every single year. Beat the team up north, win the Big Ten Conference Championship, and win the national championship. It's been since 2020 since Ohio State has accomplished any of those goals. And if they want to accomplish the second goal, winning the Big Ten Conference Championship this year, which I do believe they want to, they must do and accomplish the first goal, which is beating the team up north. I think that's always going to be the main thing every year anyway, and I'm not going to come out here and say, oh, no, that's not the most important thing in a season, in the regular season. I'm never going to say that. Not because I don't believe that to be, I believe it to be false. I don't. I think it is the most important thing every year in the regular season, but also the players say it. And I'm just going to relay the message that the players say. You can agree with that message. You can disagree with that message. It don't matter. I'm just simply here to relay what the players say when they are behind the mic. And so when it comes to this upcoming season, the schedule is not really that difficult. Yeah, you got to go to Oregon, Autzen Stadium. That's going to be a battle. Yeah, you got to go to Happy Valley. That's going to be a battle. But outside of that, you have the game against Michigan. The schedule isn't really that difficult. And so for people to say, oh, Jay, how is the schedule going to shape out for Ohio State for them to even have a chance to win the conference when they have a shot to win it, when they play Michigan in the final regular season game of the year? It's in their favor. It should be Buckeyes 11-0. Wolverines, maybe not 11-0. They're scheduled a little bit tougher than Ohio State's, but it's possible. In Ohio State this year, when you open your year, home against Akron, home against Western Michigan. After a bye week, you come back home against Marshall. Those are 3 wins. On the road in East Lansing against Michigan State. That's a win. On the road, home against Iowa. Good defense coming to Columbus, but that should be a win. On the road at Oregon, that is definitely difficult. Then you got a bye week. You got Nebraska at home, on the road at Penn State, Purdue at home, on the road at Northwestern, home against Indiana, and home against Michigan. Now, if you're going to sit in here and tell me, oh, UCLA lost before the Buckeyes play Michigan, who is it? Is it Oregon? Okay, maybe. Is it Penn State? I would push back on that one every single time, but that's maybe it. Nebraska may be better, but I still think Ohio State's better than them. You beat Michigan, you have a realistic shot to win a Big Ten Conference Championship game. And that's where it starts. Over the past few years, losing that game has meant so much to how the Buckeyes handle the offseason, especially in this offseason when you have so many Buckeye veterans saying, no, I am going to ditch and forsake, at least for right now, the millions I would get in the National Football League upon being drafted to come back to Ohio State to finish business. That's huge. From Jalen Tuimoloau to Travion Henderson to Emeka Ibuka to Tyleik Williams to Jack Sawyer to Ty Hamilton, who is one of the guys on a defensive line that does not get enough credit for how good he is. But man, he is so good at his job. To who else is out there that might be somebody that could have gotten millions of dollars in the National Football League, but decided to no, we got to finish something at Ohio State because we got unfinished business. Denzel Burke. Jordan Hancock could have gone out there and gotten drafted. I still think I would have advised him to stay, but he still could have gotten drafted in the National Football League. Lathan Ransom, another one. Donovan Jackson, another one. There are so many guys at Ohio State that could have gone to the National Football League and made millions of dollars. But no, they decided and collectively said, we as a whole have unfinished business at Ohio State. And of course it's going to be losing to Michigan over the past 3 years, and really in 2020, that game would have been Ohio State's game easily. We all know that for to be a fact. We all know Ohio State, if they played Michigan in 2020, would have smacked them. And that was not Ohio State's best year with Justin Fields as their starting quarterback. 2019 was a better year, and also that was one of the best rosters I've seen at Ohio State, one of the best teams I've seen at Ohio State in quite some time. I mean, the talent on that roster and how good that team is, that compares to Urban's 2015 team, which to me is still the most talented team Urban had in Columbus. Ryan Day's most talented team didn't win a natty. Urban's most talented team didn't win a natty. It's one of the weird things about the sport. One loss changes everything. And unfortunately, both losses happen to teams that are in that state up north. I'm going to disrespect them. I don't care. I don't like them. I don't like him at all. I think we all are on the same page with that. But if Ohio State wants to win the Big Ten championship game, win the Big Ten championship, and of course the game this year, you have to beat Michigan. I'm not going to go back and do some study on Urban Meyer's tenure at Ohio State, but simply Ryan Day's. Ryan Day has been the head coach at Ohio State 5 seasons, which is a big enough sample size to really figure out the importance of this game. 2019, Ohio State beat Michigan, won the conference championship. 2020, didn't play Michigan, but still won the conference championship. And ultimately, just keep it honest, the Big Ten before the season announced a rule and a twisting of the rule that actually favored Ohio State at the end of the regular season. Some said, no, the Big Ten is favoring Ohio State. No, maybe they were before the season, but in the season, they were just following the rules that they set prior to the start of the year. But over the past 3 years, Ohio State lost to Michigan, didn't even get a shot to win the Big Ten Conference Championship. And with the Big Ten being expanded, going out west to get 4 schools in USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington. Also, shout out to Kalen DeBoer. Congratulations on getting that job at Alabama. It's one of the toughest jobs in the sport. It's also one of those jobs you're going to have unlimited resources at your disposal. So, I understand Washington's good. You got there to the natty, had a phenomenal season, undefeated until you got there and you played Michigan. Alabama's a different animal. I'm going to be looking forward to seeing how Kalen DeBoer handles Tuscaloosa when you're following the greatest coach of all time in this sport. You can push back and say, you want to say Bobby Bowden? I'll give you Nick Saban. You want to say Paul Bear Bryant? I will literally give you Nick Saban. You want to say Tom Osborne? I will once again say Nick Saban is the better coach in the sport over those names, and you could give me Bobby Dodd, whoever you want to throw out there. You might say Urban's better than Nick Saban. This is one of those times I'm going to say Nick Saban is the better coach over Urban Meyer in this sport. I know it's going to ruffle some feathers, but that's just how the cookie crumbled with this conversation. If Ohio State wants to win the Big Ten Conference Championship, number one, a part of the formula is they have to beat the Michigan Wolverines. That game is set for November the 30th in the shoe. If you have the chance to be at that game, I know the ticket's going to be on the heftier side, but if you have the means and the availability to go to the game, go. Go. Because if Ohio State wins this year, I hope Ohio State fans rush the field just like Michigan fans did in 2021. Payback. Got to get back on top of the conference. It's also a way for you to get back on top of this year rivalry. But that's not the only way Ohio State and what they need to do to win the conference this year, there are more ways for them to accomplish this goal. We'll tackle one more next here on Locked On Buckeyes. This episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On Plus, our national shows covering every league. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel found only at the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Yes, the mission every year is for Ohio State to beat Michigan. Ryan Day has beaten Michigan once in his tenure at Ohio State. One game was canceled. I can't pencil that game in and say it was going to be a win, even though I believe, just like you probably believe, that was going to be a win for Ohio State. I can't do that because it's not a game that was played on the field. 1-3 against the Wolverines. 3 in a row is not good. You get on top of that rivalry, you beat Michigan in the fall, you have a really good shot, realistic opportunity to win the Big Ten Conference based on the schedule you have right now. But that's not the only thing the Buckeyes need to do. You could be 11-0 against Michigan next year and have some of the same issues on one side of the ball that the Buckeyes had this year in 2023, last year. Wow, 2024, we're almost done with the month. But for the Buckeyes to also get and win the conference championship game for the first time since 2020, they also have to be more consistent on offense. This is not a shot at Kyle McCord. It's in totality a great look and big picture at what the Buckeyes offense was this year. I'm not going to pull up the numbers. I mean, I could. Actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and look at what some of the numbers say that confirm, in a way, what my eyeballs say about me or say to me when I watch Ohio State play football this year. What's one thing that we didn't really have? Say we, like I played on the field. What's one thing Ohio State didn't have consistently this year? A running game. Easily. Didn't have a running game. Yeah, Travion Henderson started to have a little bit of a burst and a little bit of started to scoot a little bit this year at the end of the season. Towards the end of it, after missing, I believe, 3, maybe 4 games due to injury, he got out there and what did he do? Started scooting a little bit, started moving a little bit. And I said it on the show numerous times. He ran with an intent and purpose that he hadn't ran with ever in his career at Ohio State. Emphasizing consistently doing it and doing it between the tackles. Didn't matter if it was the B gap or the A gap or outside. Henderson did a phenomenal job of finding that hole, and baby, he went through that thing quick. And so for Travion Henderson this year, his numbers, cool. Played in 10 games, 10 of the 13 games Ohio State played. 926 rushing yards, 5.9 yards a pop, 11 rushing touchdowns. If you went to his game log this year, what would you find? That wasn't a consistent thing for him. Game log this year for Ohio State, 47 rushing yards against Indiana, 56 against Youngstown State, 88 against Western Kentucky, 104 against Notre Dame, which started a streak of 3 straight games where he had over 100 rushing yards, 162 against Wisconsin, 128 against Rutgers. But what happened? He missed time in between Notre Dame and Wisconsin. Came back against Michigan State, only 63 yards. Minnesota, he went off for 146. But against Michigan, 60, and against Missouri, 72. Why did I go throughout his entire game log for the year to give you a great snapshot of one player. But if you want to go to the entire team at Ohio State, and I'm not going to go through everyone, just go in rushing yards as a total. Henderson had 926. Most of them came on the back half post-injury this year. Chip Trainum, 85 carries this year, only 373 rushing yards. That's not hot. That's not good. Played in 12 of the Buckeyes' 13 games. Mayan Williams only played in 6 of the 12 regular season games this year. 49 carries, 158 rushing yards, 3.2 yards a pop. Chip Trainum, 4.4 yards a pop. What happened? Where did the Buckeyes get a little bit of a spark? David Johnson had 190 rushing yards for 6.8 yards a pop. Dallin Hayton, in a really reduced role, 3 games, 19 carries, 110 rushing yards, 5.8 yards a pop. I'm only going through numbers in this way to kind of give a realistic numerical and statistical stat or look at the stats so we can say, well, Jay is saying there was no consistency on the offense. The running game was a big part of it. But even in the pass game, there were sometimes the flow wasn't there. It was sometimes the receivers were dropping the ball. There were sometimes the blame for the issues was being put on the wrong person. There were sometimes the O-line was not doing their job at the standard that has been set at Ohio State. Not just Ohio State standard, just college football in general. There were numerous times these boys were not getting the job done. And when it comes to this side of the ball being better overall than it was this year, they got to be more consistent. Hence why Ohio State brings in Seth McLaughlin, the former center at Alabama, who people believe he's coming to Ohio State to be a center. Great. Fix some of the issues he has snapping the ball. You may see this young man be a really good draft pick for a center in the upcoming, in the future, 2025 NFL draft. You bring in Will Howard from Kansas State. What do you find? You bring in an experienced guy who has won a Big 12 championship against a team of the championship game in TCU that made it to the national championship. You all know the story. I understand it. I don't think they were the second best team in the country that year, but they still found a way with the system to get to that game. Great. What else do you find? You bring in a guy in Quinshon Judkins. What do you have in him? SEC leading rusher this year, 2,700 rushing yards in 2 years in Ole Miss. He's playing with his former teammates in Davidson Igbinosun and Tywone Malone, 2 guys that are on the other side of the ball, but he still has a connection with, being former teammates and still being teammates now after 1 year away from each other. Guys, this side of the ball on offense. Also, I forgot, you bring in a Ohio Bobcat tight end who I think is one of the sneaky ones that Ryan Day brought in that can come in and start. G. Scott Jr. is cool. I'm not sold on him being a starting tight end at Ohio State. Jelani Thurman, I believe, will be good. I don't know if this is the year for him to start. Maybe be a backup role like all the other tight ends have been before being thrust into the starting lineup in a starting role for the Ohio State Buckeyes. The formula to win the Big Ten Conference Championship at 2024 is simple. You got to beat Michigan. You got to have more consistency on offense. But that's not all. There's one more thing on my list, on my notepad, that Ohio State must do to win the Big Ten Conference Championship in 2024. That's coming up next here on Locked On Buckeyes. This episode is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel Sportsbook. The NFL regular season is complete. The playoffs, we're in the midst of them right now. And if you want to get in on the fun postseason action in the NFL, head over to FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. Guys, that's $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. The app is also so easy to use, and there are so many different ways to bet, like live same-game parlays, find bets in the new Explore tab, make a parlay in the Parlay Hub, which is the best way to find popular parlays, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet a layup. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. This episode is also brought to you by our friends at Billiards Plus. Billiards Plus has the best selection of pool tables, game tables, shuffleboard tables, and more. And the best service is Central Ohio. And guys, check this out. Billiards Plus carries grills that have up to 30-year warranties. That's right, a grill with a 30-year warranty. Everything you need for in-home and backyard entertainment is at Billiards Plus. And the grills, whether you like charcoal or gas or wood-fired, Billiards Plus has the perfect setup for all grillers. They are family-owned and operated, and when you talk to the staff at Billiards Plus, you know you're talking to an expert who won't steer you wrong, no matter the season. Billiards Plus has you covered for all your indoor and outdoor entertainment needs. Kenny, Sarah, and the whole entire staff will always go above and beyond to give you the best customer service in the industry. And check out some of their new games in stock now. Billiards Plus. Visit their showroom on Dublin Center Drive in Dublin. Thank you once again for making Locked On Buckeyes your first listen or first watch of every single day. Some of you have seen there's been a lot more YouTube shorts coming around your way, just trying to enhance the way for you to enjoy Locked On Buckeyes, not just every Monday through Friday, but every day of the week. That's not going to change when I get back in town. Currently, this is being pre-recorded. I'm currently on a boat in the Bahamas. We will come back and continue that trend right here on the show. Also got a little microphone here in a bag. Going to show this to you. It's going to provide some great audio so that when I am not behind the mic, currently in the desk in the office in my apartment, we're using this little guy to get the job done. If you're listening to the audio of the show, definitely go to YouTube. Subscribe to Locked On Buckeyes YouTube page. Beat Michigan. It's easy. You beat Michigan, you have a great shot to win the Big Ten Conference Championship. What else do you have? If you have more consistency on offense, you have a great shot to win the Big Ten Conference Championship. But also, this is something that I forget if it was Mo Murphy or Jeff Hunt said this week on the show. You got to lay it all on the line. There are no exceptions. There are no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The Buckeyes must, and the players and the coaches and everybody that's a part of this program, almost an organization like it's a professional team. Could be, maybe one day. Not so much professional, not being in school, but y'all understand. You must lay it all on the line. Forget these, I'm trying to save my body for the NFL. Forget, somebody else can do my job. Forget, I could not go all out on this play and not block my guy because, well, we're going to live to fight another day. Not no expanded Big Ten, buddy. Oh, no. You cannot do that, no expanded Big Ten. Why? USC and Lincoln Riley are not going to come out here to the Big Ten and just think, we're going to lay down for Ohio State, for Michigan State, for Penn State, maybe a better Nebraska team, for Iowa, for Wisconsin. We are not about to just come out here and just do that. Oregon and Dan Lanning. Dan Lanning's building something out there. There is a reason why he posted a video, a hype video, as some called it, when he told his team he ain't going to Alabama. He's not going to leave Eugene, Oregon to go down to Tuscaloosa, Alabama. He's staying right there, and he's ready to build something in the Pacific Northwest. Washington's going to have a new coach, but that's a sneaky good football program. In this sport, no. They're not a blue blood in the sport. I have 5. I only have 5 every single year, every single decade. Only got 5. Ohio State, Oklahoma, USC, Alabama, and Notre Dame. Those are my 5 blue bloods in the sport. If you're a Michigan fan, this is the first time y'all have won an outright non-split national championship since 1948. Blue bloods don't do that. That's not blue blood behavior. That's all. That's all I got to say. You also got UCLA. If you think Chip Kelly's going to come over here and bring that offense to the Midwest and think, I'm just going to change things, just going to alter things. I know Indiana has a new coach. We're just going to lose to Indiana. I know Purdue has Ryan Walters. He's a new coach. We're just going to lay down for him. We know Nebraska has Matt Rule. We know what Tom Osborne means to the program. We're just going to lay down. No. Them schools out west ain't trying to come over here and just lay down for the Big Ten schools. the Big Ten's not a strong conference at all. It is not. It's very, very, very top heavy. Outside of the top three in Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State, what's the next tier? Iowa? Wisconsin? Nebraska? Why am I laughing in this way? Because it's very comical to say the next tier in the Big Ten is Iowa, Wisconsin, Nebraska. Those might be those schools there. I'm going to put Maryland there? No. No. Those schools don't have good quarterback play. Those teams don't have full and strong offenses. No. This is a problem in the Big Ten. So, yes, USC is going to come over. UCLA is going to come over. Oregon is going to come over. Washington is going to come over. Florida State's trying to come out of the ACC. Do I think that they're going to win a bidding war to go get Florida State over the SEC, which that might be what it's going to come down to? I mean, they can. They absolutely can. Because I don't think the SEC and Greg Sankey want to have the Big Ten footprint go down and further down into the midst of SEC country. Just got to wait and see. But the Buckeyes players got to lay it all on the line. You do it in the regular season. You go all out. Don't manage it like an NFL regular season. Manage it like, hey, we have to prepare our guys right now for the gauntlet that will be the playoff. Because if you think it's going to be tough to win a Big Ten Conference championship game, think about a 12-team playoff. And I've seen some way too early ones that came out that didn't have Ohio State in the way too early playoff for next season. And that was prior to a lot of guys coming in and saying they're going to be at Ohio State in the fall. Cool. I still would have pushed back on that anyway, just because, if you think Ole Miss is going to be a better football team than Ohio State, even prior than those guys announcing they were going to be in Columbus, I would question the way you analyze the football. That's all I'm going to say. I saw one guy do it. I'm not saying his name, but I see him all the time down there at SEC Media Days, and I do believe he lives down in the southern portion of the country. If there's bias in that, maybe. Leave the bias aside when you now analyze the football. It's not a good look. What is a good look is Ohio State winning the Big Ten Conference Championship this year. You got to beat Michigan. You got to have more consistency on offense, and you got to lay it all on the line. Every player, every coach, every time they're out there on the field. Out of here on a Thursday, Buckeye fans. Got one more day of shows left, and then we're done for the week. Another fun week of shows here for you to enjoy. If you haven't already subscribed to Locked On Buckeyes on the YouTube, on the Apple, on the Spotify, or wherever you get your fine podcast, if you're on the YouTube, hit that bell so you are notified every time a new video goes live. You can follow me on X, which is formerly known as Twitter, at JSteven07. This has been Locked On Buckeyes here on a Thursday. I will see you next time.